Katha Upanishad 2 to 10. 9 and 10, of course. We have briefly spoken about this one reality. And today we will do it a little extensively and then go to the next, the 11th one. The 10th one is, as air, though one, having entered into this world, assumes separate forms in respect of different shapes. Similarly, the self inside all beings, though one, assumes a form in respect of each shape, and yet it is outside. Now, the verse has been spoken of as referring to both the transcendental as well as the immanent aspect. It has given a sort of an illustration how the one has become the many. And that has been always the knotty problem of why or how does the one become the many. And this problem, of course, is not a problem for the Vedantas, because it is only Vedanta which says the one has become the many. So the two illustrations, examples which are given to demonstrate the immanent as well as the transcendental aspect of that one reality is fire and air. In this present verse, as air though one, Vayuryataiko bhuvanam pravristo Rupam rupam pratirupo babuva Ekastata sarvabhutantaratma Rupam rupam pratirupo bahischa. Like air. What is this air? It's that universal life force prana, as the commentator says, as one life force entering into this world diversifies into multitude of forms according to the pre-existing forms. You have a form, I have a form, the tree, the plant, and the birds, and the animals, and over and over and over again. So this one prana, this one reality, having entered into the world, takes the shapes of all these various forms which are there. And yet it is outside, yet it is transcendental. That's why Bahischa. That's why they say, if it was only limited to the forms, then the reality would be exhausted, as they say. There would not be anything more to it. And yet the Upanishad say, though it has entered into each and every form, from the Brahma, the creator, to the blade of grass, Brahma Stambha Pariyanta, this whole universe is pervaded by this reality. That reality enters, as it were, into everything. And that reality is one. Now, the question arises, which is real? The one or the many? And the highest teachings of Vedanta is when you see the one in the many, which this very Upanishad will speak about in a couple of verses. To see the one in the many. that is the highest realization. Now, like air and like fire that have entered into this. This also now gives us an idea that constant harping of some preachers of Vedanta will keep on speaking about the subjective side only of Vedanta. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? This is dismissed by this verse. And there's too much emphasis on the subjective side, that is real and the objective is unreal. It's like a dream, it's an illusion, it's a delusion. That has captured the imagination of so many people because it gives credence to my existence and not the existence of others. That has always been the fault in some Vedanta teachers who will keep on saying, find out who you are. Well, what is this who you are? You are just a tiny, tiny, tiny speck in this whole ocean of life, which this Upanishad is speaking about. Like when this one prana, one air, enters into this world of life and matter, it takes all those various forms. So each and every life, each and every form contains, as it were, that reality. This also gives us the idea not to be dismissive of people, not to be dismissive of any other thing other than what we like. We have our own likes and dislikes, and what we like, we accept, and what we dislike, we keep away. This has pervaded, this like and dislike has pervaded the entire world. Everything I like and dislike. That person likes and dislikes. This religion likes and dislikes. That person in the political likes and dislikes. This food is liked or disliked. This whole world is kind of enamored with this likes and dislikes. We have not encountered that very reality which is there in all forms. If you have to accept yourself, you have to accept the whole world. And there will come a time when we realize that my existence depends on the existence of the whole world. Yes, each and every particle of life, each and every aspect of life, each and every life, whatever it is unique because of this reality. It is this reality that has entered into everything and taken these various shapes. So, the illustration like air, and that's the closest thing that we can use to illustrate that one Atman. That's why he's saying the self inside all beings. Similarly, the self inside all beings, though one, assumes a form in respect of each shape, and yet it is outside. That reality, by becoming this world of living and then even, as I say, the non-living, Vedanta will not distinguish between the living and the non-living. The non-living at one point of time will become living, and the living will at one point of time become non-living. This transition is going on constantly. So it speaks of the whole, the entirety. And so this reality that has entered into each and everything has made this whole universe real. Yes. So to be dismissive about this world as illusion, that is ridiculous. What is illusion? Your ego is illusory. Yes, that we can accept. That's illusory. But this world is Maya and it has to go. What's that? So this is showing that each and every life in this universe, which was in the past, which will be in the future, which is in the present, is all divine. Because it's a reality. And this is what we have to now understand. If my life is divine, all lives are divine. All life in this universe. And we have, till now, it has been discovered that life in this form exists here. But we have not searched hard enough whether it's a. But it doesn't matter at all. This whole universe, like I said, between the insentient and the sentient, is constantly transiting into one another. The constant transition. So, what was in the stars a billion years ago is now in our bodies. We are made of star stuff. The huge supernovas that exploded, of course, supernovas explode. And that's how we came into being. All the material has come from all those massive explosions. So this universe is constantly running into order from chaos. It rises from chaos, becomes order. You know, there are these two words in the Greek language, chaos and cosmos. Order arises from disorder, and then it keeps on transcending. So this is a potential, and from there it becomes forms. So all these forms are rising from this potential matter. And as the matter rises, people say, there's another common objection of why the population of the human beings are increasing. And initially there was very little, a few million of them. So what about the Atman? They say they think the Atman is a fixed quantity, that 1 million will get it and the rest 7 billion will not get it. No. So what they do is, okay, the animals don't have it. It's nothing like that. God created the soul. No, He doesn't create. God is that universal soul. So this universal soul has entered into everything, has become the individual souls. It's very important. That one reality called a supreme soul or supreme. So people, the objection, the population is rising, so where do these guys come from? Where do these souls emerge? And whether lower categories, we should not use the word lower categories. There's no such thing as lower categories of life. Every life is unique, extremely unique. If we really study this life, unique life, in all its forms, this is spirituality. This will give you the highest experience. And how do we study this life? By studying this life first in ourselves. And then we find out the basis of this life within us is that reality. And as we understand that this is the reality which is there in me and which is in everyone, that is the realization. Swami Sharadananda, once Ramakrishna asked him, what realization, what spiritual experience do you want?
Trying to reconnect. Can you call me back?
Yeah. There's a problem with this connection. Yeah. So,
I'll be right back.
yeah, could you tell them that don't fiddle or jingle along with this? You can do that after 11:30. Swami M.
What do you want me to tell them?
don't now disrupt the system. They are working on it, isn't it? Speak about this tremendous, you can say, the final words of spirituality, final words of realization. When the individual drops the very idea of individuality and becomes what one really is, the universal. What happens is, you see, a long time back I was reading a book. I haven't read the whole thing, but the title of the book is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Yourself, you have accumulated all these ideas from culture, from religion, from your upbringing, from your peers, from each and every one, and have constructed an identity of yourself. And this identity has not only been constructed this birth, it has been a continuous, you can say, progression from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of births. Slowly we have been building on this individuality as distinct from this universe. And that's why the universe feels distinct from us. I am separate and the world is separate. But deep down inside, we will see, like it is known, and even science speaks, all matter is ultimately one. In the heart of matter, it's all one. In the heart of even matter, it's all energy, it's all one. So on the surface, these differences are appearing. And as these differences appear, we are kind of consolidating those differences. I am different. You see, it's a wonderful thought. Let me put it like this. When a child is born, they say, metaphorically, that this guy is all-knowing. How? Well, because that child who is being born knows each and every one in this universe, that there is no one like him or her or it or whatever. So, in a way, that person has scanned the whole universe and say, I'll take this particular identity for me now. Because in this universe, there is nothing or no one like me. And this is the uniqueness I was talking about. There are no two similar things. Even twins have differences. On the surface, you see them, yeah, they look similar. They wear the same dress, they go to the same school, they like the same things. That's on the surface. You go down deep and find it is really differences, that they're all unique. So when a child is born, there is nothing in the universe that is similar to it. Each one has come with a tremendous sense of the past. It's a long journey that individual has come. And now is coming out, manifesting something even more unique. So this whole universe is a unique place of diversity. There are no two snowflakes. There are no two similar looking grains of sand. Everything, even two similar raindrops, is impossible to find. Everything is different. Everything is unique. Everything stands apart from the rest. At the surface level only. As we go down to a deeper level, we find the minds also are different. Each and every person has a different mind. And yet we can interact. So there has to be a connection. Like the matter that has made this body is the same matter that has made your body. And as we keep on going deeper and deeper and deeper, you find that all that uniqueness is left behind into a greater uniqueness. What is that greater uniqueness? That soul, that self, that Atman. Actually, this has what has made everything unique. It is not the differences that has made us unique only, it is the oneness that has made us unique. Now, this whole universe is the many and yet the one. You look at it from one side, it's the many. You turn around and say, oh, this is the one. So to see the one in the many is the highest point of realization. And that is what we must strive for. And that's what the universe is actually helping us towards. It is actually what these teachings of the Upanishads are leading us to. Human life will reach out there, finally, in the end. We had seen the last time that an example given like water or rain falling on the mountain side falls and rolls down the sides of the mountains in different streams, so that one soul has become the many. Evam dharman pritak pasya. Now, slowly we understand that, like the two examples, like fire and air, they have entered into this world and become many. So where do you have to search the reality? Can we go to that temple or this mosque or synagogue or the Gurudwara or this church? You don't have to go all over the place. Once you understand that it is here within me, my external journey comes to an end and the internal journey commences. The external journey was only part of the way. It was supposed to lead you inside. And as we enter into it, we find that there are vaster and vaster and vaster dimensions to our inner, you can say, journey. And finally, we come down to the end of the journey when we see we are one with the universe. I am the universe. Individuality has been dropped and the universality has been demonstrated, accepted, verified, authenticated, and made part of your consciousness. So that consciousness which was limited has now become unlimited. So that one soul, supreme soul, is inside everything and outside everything. It is in all plants and birds and animals and whatever, anything that is contained in this universe, whatever can you bring up, all these things have those souls, supreme souls. Because a supreme soul cannot make a distinction. These are humans and they are kind of special. Nothing like that. We feel that we are special. There's no kind of special status for it. Is only a sense of pride and egotism because we have not understood anything outside of ourselves. So we have made ourselves important. But morally, you can say, responsible for everything around us. And what we have been doing, we've been killing things around, destroying things. So suddenly this whole drama is now coming into play. What have we been doing all these years? Now there's now a higher responsibility of now protecting this place, protecting beings, protecting the environment, protecting everything. So once this comes, people say there's a practical Vedanta and a theoretical Vedanta, Upanishadic Vedanta and Neo-Vedanta, all this. So I would suggest there's another Vedanta, the responsible Vedanta, that we are responsible for each and everything now. We cannot dismiss, no, I'm not responsible for this. Yes, we are responsible in a major or in a minor way to everything there. Now, the next verse, 11th verse, the commentator says, since the contingency arises that if a single entity is the self of all, then the sorrowfulness of this world will belong to the Supreme Brahman itself. It's correct. We are striving to become happy. We are not striving for the reality, most of us. We are striving to be happy by avoiding what we dislike and accepting what we like. So that is happiness. So the plan of the world is such that when you strive for happiness, you get unhappiness. And nobody strives for unhappiness, of course. So we make a mistake of dividing the happy and the unhappy, these two things. They are actually ultimately all one. You strive for the happiness, you will get unhappiness. You're unhappy now, you will be happy later. There's a constant rolling about this reality. The commentator acknowledges, yes, people suffer, people are sorrowful, people are in pain, people are injured, people are unhappy, people are all sorts of things. Will the defect of these various life forms also affect the reality? We have shown, the Upanishads have shown that it is inside everything and yet outside everything. So we have a tendency, I didn't want to do that, but you see, I was prompted to do that. My conscience, my inner voice told me. And there have been people who have been killing others in the name of religion. My God told me to do that. Well, they give all sorts of arguments. Suffering has been there in this world, suffering, and will be there in this world. So, is the Supreme Self responsible for it or affected by individual sufferings of individual lives? So this verse takes this question up. The 11th is 2 to 11. Just as the sun, which is the eye of the whole world, is not tainted by the ocular and external defects. Similarly, the self, the Atman, that is but one in all beings, is not tainted by the sorrows of the world, it being transcendental. This is clear. There is one sun. It shines, as the Bible says, on the good and the bad also. Well, rain, you have rain, the good people also get rain, the bad people also get rain. Well, so the illustration is given of the sun. The sun is not affected by whatever defects my eyes have. Maybe I'll see two suns, or maybe I'll see a green sun. That does not affect the sun. Maybe I see the sun as silvery color, or something. Either there's an external obstruction, or there's an internal obstruction like the eyes. And there's something wrong with my eyes. So if there's a defect in us, the sun is not affected. So the defect of suffering and sorrow and misery and pain, because it is there in this universe, the self is not affected by it. It is there for everyone. It is in everyone. But it is unaffected. Why? Because it is transcendental. It being transcendental. Suryo yata sarvalokasya chakshur na lipyate chakshushayr bhaya doshayr ekastata sarvabhutantaratma na lipyate lokadukkhena bhaya. Bhaya, it is transcendental. So that supreme self is not affected by your and my individual karmas that has led us to this and that. And that's why it is said, it's a tremendous sense of, you can say, this reality transcends all our known concepts. People say, well, then your God in Vedanta has become all this. Yeah, the world is not a very happy place, so your God has become all this thing. It has killed, it has done all the rubbish things. It is not affected by it. The Supreme Self, why? Because that one in the many cannot be affected, because it has already become apparently many, the one in the many. That one Supreme Self is the Absolute. And it is appearing as a relative in all the bodies. So pain and pleasure is due to our deeds, thoughts, words that we have done. And what we have done, we can undo. As we can undo all these things, we will find the Supreme Self is like the kind of a mirror. So it's like, is the Supreme Self really within all of us? Yes. But how? It's like when you see yourself in the mirror, are you in the mirror? But it appears that you are in the mirror. And you will behave with your reflection as if, yes, I am there inside. There are times when we see, okay, that is real. We never say that this is the reflection, it's unreal. There's this immediate recognition, yeah. So similarly, this one soul, this one, Supreme Soul, has entered similarly into everything, like you have entered into a mirror. Got this? I think this is clear. So, where is this Atman? Yeah. You know why? Because the commentators and all these people, they have to be careful. The Supreme Soul is infinite. How can it just be limited by your body and my body and his mind and her mind? So that Supreme Soul will become limited. And the moment it becomes limited, it will not be that Supreme Soul. That's the reason why he's saying there, it is transcendental. Another example that Vedanta gives is like the moon is reflected in millions and millions of globules of water, of small waves and in those wavelets. You will see a million moons, but they are not a million moons. There is one moon. There's one sun reflected in million and million bodies of water. There's one sun, and there's the reflection. It appears inside. So we need to realize that Supreme Self by looking inside that mirror of the mind, mirror of the heart. It has, as it were, taken this form. Like when you see your face in the mirror, your head does not appear 10 times larger. Of course, there are some magic mirrors that make you appear like sometimes you might look like a nice person, sometimes you look like a horrid person, and sometimes you'll kind of fat or thin. I'm not talking about magic mirrors. We are talking about just plain mirrors. It will reflect exactly what you are. If you are sad and you look in the front of the mirror, that reflection will look sad. Then you smile, that mirror will smile. Yeah. So what happens is, you're not going to grow fat or you're not going to thin. It's going to reflect as it is. So this Supreme Self, as it were, enters into each and every form as it is. Yet it is transcendental, yet it is outside. That's why, just as the sun, as a one sun, which is the eye of the whole world, is not tainted by the ocular and external defects. Similarly, the self, the Atman, that is but one in all beings, is not tainted by the sorrows of the world, it being transcendental. This is a tremendous verse. In fact, some of these verses, you will never find it in any literature anywhere. What you are listening to is one of the highest teachings and the highest realizations that is ever possible for the human beings. It acknowledges there is a one in the many and transforms that many into the divine. No longer it is just matter. No longer it's just an illusion. No longer it's a delusion. And all our individual journeys through pain and pleasure and sorrow and hatred and whatever is leading us to that reality. You see, human life is now evolving to higher and higher and higher, you can say, aspects. What is the goal of this evolution of life? It is leading us towards a reality. And that's why the Hindu scriptures say everyone will attain moksha, will attain freedom. Everyone. This whole of nature is rising towards that freedom. So we are being impelled by the many to enter into that reality. So there are people like us who want to have the reality now, in this life, possibly today, if not possible today, tomorrow or day after, but it has to be immediate. We just can't wait and wait and wait and wait to be bumped around by, you can say, everything in nature, everything pushing us around. It might take eons, it might take lifetimes, but we want it now. So yeah, take it. And this is what it is. So it is transcendental, it is immanent, it is everything, it is everywhere. Equally, the sun reflected in a muddy pool is not affected by the quality of that muddy water. The sun reflected in a clean water is not affected by the cleanliness of that water. The sun is affected. So, this, like the sun, which is the eye of the whole. In the ancient mythologies, in Egyptian mythologies, Horus, the eye of Horus, and many other kind of sects later on also had taken this eye, the eye. That's the eye of God, as they say, that it looks on everything equally everywhere. It has no favorites. So I'll take this, these guys are my favorites and those guys are not my favorites. I will see everything to destroy them. No. Then that could never be the Supreme Self. This is what it is. It is transcendental, it is one, it is at one in the many. So which is real? At that one point of life, time, Sri Ramakrishna says, you go on doing neti, neti, neti. Not this, not this, not this, not this. And finally come down to iti, iti, iti. This, 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 this. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of you climb to the roof using the stairs or any other thing. When you reach the roof, what do you see? Well, you see the same materials that have gone into making the roof has also gone into making the stairs. So it's the same material. And then you realize it is the comprehensive reality. This reality becomes... So you should not say, this is lower reality or this is lower life. No. There is life and all life is equal because of that one Supreme Self. And that is how we also, it's a teaching for all of us, that we should inculcate in our lives. Don't look down on anything or anyone. This is the, you can say, equality. People have been shouting and fighting for equality, you see. The rich have more and the poor have less. And for 10,000 years this has been going on. They have more and they have. They are the haves and these are the have-nots. These are the people who are being tyrannized over. This is the, you can say, bourgeois, and this is the proletariat. And everywhere, these divisions are the rich and the poor, the learned and the ignorant, the high and the low. Everywhere, the sick and the unhealthy, the healthy. It's everywhere, all over. And people have been struggling for equity and equality. You know, the French, you can say, they had a revolution, equality, fraternity, and what is it? Whatever. And everywhere, people are striving for equity. Yeah, everybody is equal. Yes, we also, Vedanta also says everybody is equal on the level of the soul. It is there that you have equality, perfect equality. And once we acknowledge people to be souls, we will acknowledge that equality. So this is how the Vedanta solves the, you can say, the problem that political philosophies and sociology and psychology and all these, they are trying to, biology is trying to find equality. Well, this is how it is. At the heart of matter, at the heart of the mind, at the heart of the soul, it is, we are all one. There is one. We'll stop here for now. We take a few questions. There was a little problem with the transmission because our internet is being tweaked by some, you can say, experts to fine-tune it. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.